So today I'm gonna do a video on sleep, and this video has been on the way for a long time, and I've been doing a lot of research and implementing a lot of this stuff in my own life to bring this video to you, and I've been very excited. So if you enjoy this video, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment what I could do better, or if you would like to see more of these longer videos where I go a bit more into depth on things that will help you. So first I would like to tell you about my sleep story. So I've improved my sleep drastically, and for probably I would say a year ago, maybe even less, I had poor sleep. I would, go to sleep at 11 and then have to wake up at 7 because of school. So first of all, I wasn't really being in bed so much like what I would like. I only got 7 or 8 hours in bed, which I would more like 9 or maybe 10 if that is possible. So that is very bad compared to what I would like to have had of amount of time. And I was never I didn't wake up and feel refreshed in the morning when I had to go do something. I would never have that feeling in my body. So, and then I would have to sleep in late on the weekend to just finally feel the refreshing feeling of when you get good sleep and then you're ready to have a good day in the morning. That was a feeling that was just missing at this time. And it's just sad to have poor sleep, because if you have poor sleep, you don't have high energy, can't do your full potential, you'll feel tired, you'll be also acting in a bad way towards other people, and it's just overall a bad thing. And there's this thing that many people say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but the people that say this what it actually means is that they're gonna die soon. And this might seem dramatic, but if you don't sleep enough, you will die sooner. If you don't even sleep, you will just die simply. All these people, they say all of this stuff, and you also, this entrepreneur niche where people promote this, oh, hustle, 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 work 12 hours a day, work 16 hours a day, I'll sleep when I'm dead, I just live on coffee, all of these things. And it's just so dumb that they think that they get anything out of studying or working these extra hours, but in reality they're just doing worse than if they actually use some time and put some effort into getting better sleep. So I think it's embarrassing for these people that they just neglect something important in this. So people want to get a good body and all of this stuff, but how are you gonna do that if you don't recover? Sleep is the main reason, the main way that you recover. That's how when you sleep, that's when your muscles go from being sore and being destroyed to getting built back higher, so you actually gain muscle. So if you don't sleep enough, the gym won't even help you. So you see, it's really the backbone of everything. There is an analogy that I really like that someone said about that sleep is actually the state that you start in, because you have to return to it. You wake up, and then at one point you need to go back to sleep so you can be awake for more time. This is the same way with you can hold your breath underwater, but at one point you need to get up and get some air. I find that analogy very, maybe even true, because it just seems like such a good idea that you have to return to sleep, because if you don't, you will eventually just die if you don't sleep. And it's the same being underwater. You have to return to get air at some point. You can't just stay underwater for unlimited amount of time. So that is just me talking about the importance of sleep. But what actually is sleep? So I won't go a lot into this, because I don't think that you even bother to want to hear this, but there's two the things of sleep that we want the most. There's something called deep sleep, or may also the time where we dream the most, and then there's something called REM sleep, and that's the REM stands for rapid eye movement. So when REM sleep comes before you get into the deep sleep stage, and your brain is actually even more active than when you're awake. And sometimes it's very similar, and sometimes you're even the brain is more active than when you are awake. And that is mind-blowing to think, like, when I first heard that, I was like, no, that cannot be true, but it actually is. And the reason why it's called rapid eye movement sleep is because that your eyes are like twitching from side to side, and even sometimes diagonal. So that is one type of sleep. And then there's deep sleep, and you probably get the idea that it's when you really like rest, and when you dream, like you're deeply in sleep. And that is of course also a thing that you want to increase to get better sleep. And then there are also two very important things that I need to tell you about. So you might have heard of them before, but it's two hormones. You can call them the sleep hormones, and they're related to sleep, I would say. So there is melatonin and there's cortisol. So melatonin you've probably heard of, because some even take it in pill form, which is actually, studies have shown that it doesn't really help as people think. But that's not what I want to tell you. Melatonin is something that you produce more as the day goes on. It's like your tiredness feeling, or you're ready to sleep feeling. And so if your body knows you're in a good environment and you know, okay, it's time to sleep soon, then it will start producing more melatonin, which makes you sleepy, and you can sleep like, faster. When you lay in bed, you're not gonna be there like for an hour just thinking, oh yeah, when am I actually gonna fall asleep? So that is something that is important, like, on that part of the day mostly. And then there is cortisol. It's actually not really solely related to sleep. It's also called the stress hormone, and it like makes you stressed, but it's actually a very needed thing in sleep. So in the morning you release more cortisol because it makes your brain, awake. You have to be awake in the morning. So the more cortisol you produce in the morning, it's actually better, because if you have the spike in the morning instead of in the afternoon, then the melatonin is also like not gonna kick in. I don't really know how to explain this, but if you wake up here and you first get sunlight or spike the cortisol here, then it's gonna hit later, so you're not gonna be as tired. But if you wake up here and here you get your spike of cortisol, that is actually better. And a funny thing actually about sleep is that when we sleep, our body rests, and we're unconscious of sleep. Like, you fall asleep and you wake up and you're like, oh, I was unconscious for the whole night. But the reason why we're unconscious is because when you get the deep sleep, you always like dream. So the body paralyzes itself just so that we don't go out and do the stuff that we dream. So for example, if I dream that I'm a really good skydiver, it makes sure that the body doesn't just get up and jump out of the window, for example, like trying to skydive. So it's kind of crazy. So that is the reason why you're unconscious when you sleep. It's because, or the reason why you're paralyzed and don't move, it's because the body does it by itself, just so you don't do dumb stuff in the middle of the night. So now you heard about melatonin and cortisol, which are the main things, the main hormones. But what are like the basics of good sleep? So as I said, exercise won't be helpful for you if you don't sleep well, but your sleep won't be good if you're not like healthy, like you eat some good food that gives you energy, and not like some that makes you feel like bad and almost even tired when you're finished eating. And you also want to move your body, get out, walk, run, do some or lift weights, like do some physical training. And that is just like the foundation of like health, and that really also will help you to sleep. If you already have good sleep but you're still watching this and you fell back into some of your like bad habits, like eating junk food and all of this, you might notice that your sleep will get worse. And this is because you're just making your health overall worse, and that also has an effect on your sleep. So that is like the main thing. But what are some practical stuff that you can actually do? Well, the first thing I did was set a bedtime and a wake time. So experiment with this. Don't just stick to one, and even though it feels like shit for a month, then stick to it. Like, try out what you can do. So for example, for me it was very hard because if I wanted to do my whole morning routine, I had to, do a fixed getting up point, because I also had to go to school at 8. So it's like I would try to wake up at like 6 o'clock or sometimes before, because I wanted to, work out in the morning, meditate, all of this stuff. I needed to do that all before 8. But if you have like a different kind of morning and you have like the time that you really want, I would suggest that you also maybe play around with like the morning time, but don't just like, of course, if you're like a different chronotype, then don't do it. But I would just, if I personally, I would try to wake up like a little early, like before 8, or at least just try to wake up before 8 or about 8. But then you have to experiment your nighttime, when you go to bed. Like some people, they don't really need as much sleep as others, or don't need to stay as long in bed. And it's also different. Like if you're an adult, you don't need as much sleep as a teen. Not that I'm saying you should neglect it, but it's just like, for example, for me, like I'm growing a lot right now, so it's important for me to actually get my sleep, or else that will affect, of course, as over my overall health. So right now, since I just finished school, what I do is that I get to bed at around 9:30, and then I wake up at 7 or 15 minutes past 7 in the morning. So I almost spend like 10 hours in bed, and that is, I really like, because I feel like refreshed. And actually, you might see, oh, but I can't spend that much time. Well, I promise you that you can find time to spend 9 hours if you prioritize sleep. So when I was in school and it wasn't summer, so in Denmark we have something called summertime, where you move your clock forward, and that also makes it like lighter in the evening. And the thing is, I can't go to bed at 9, because it's simply like impossible for me to sleep at that point. I don't know if you can see it right now, but it's almost 10 o'clock outside right now, and it's literally, there's no sign of it turning dark soon. So I moved this to half 10 or 30 minutes past 9. That's probably what you would say in English. And it's still light outside, but I try to dim the lights as much as I can, because I want to wake up early and I really need that sleep. But what I did when I had to get up at 6 to do all of my stuff was that I would manage to actually get 9 hours in bed still by just going to bed at 9. So I think that you should really experiment with this and find like how you like really do it. And that is important to find a bedtime that suits you. So in sleep there's also different like chronotypes. So you also, I don't know if you do say this in like other languages, but in Danish we say A and a B person. So the A person is the standard like industrial person that wakes up early and goes to bed early. Like that's just how they're built. And then the B person is, they stay up late and they wake up later. And these two things have been stereotyped a lot. So for example, if you work at like a job or something, the A person, the one that gets up early, will be rewarded for being up in the morning, and then like the B person will just be called lazy. But this is really a shame, because chronotypes you can't do anything about. Of course you can regulate them a little bit, but it's just how your clock inside of you are. Like the chronotype is how the clock runs. So if your natural clock says, okay, stay up till 1 a.m. and then wake up later, well, you can of course try to move it a little bit, but it's probably gonna be hard for you to be like the A person who gets up at 6 and go to bed at 8:30 or something. So that's something you have to play around with to really find what you do. So I feel like I'm in the middle. Like I can sleep until like late, until like 9 or half 10. That is the longest I can sleep. But I also have no problem with like waking up at 6 if I just get to bed early. So that is something that is important. And I think that I can sleep more in the winter, because of it gets like dark at 5 o'clock or something here in Denmark. So I have no problem. I could probably also sleep at 8 or 8:30 if I just made my body used to it. But well, I don't have time for that, because at that point, like when I go to sports in the evening, then I'll be eating there and I'll just get home and then sleep at 9, and then it will be really like pressured. So also a thing that you should probably take into account is something that I don't even do many days, because of the time that I eat dinner. So try to eat 3 hours before you go to bed, and this is something that will probably like be very hard for you. There's really something itching my leg. Hold on. Yeah. So eat like 3 hours before you go to bed, because then you don't like your body. If you just eat and then go to bed, instead of focusing on relaxing and going to sleep, your body will focus more on digesting the food that you just ate, which is like not so good when you're trying to sleep and have your body focus on sleeping. So that is definitely not something that you do ideally, but I mean, I still get pretty good sleep even though I do it, so you might be able to make it work. So an important thing that you can do in your bedroom is your sleep environment. So if your bedroom is dirty or it just looks like filthy, then first of all clean it. And a thing that is also spoken widely about is the temperature. So right now I have my window open. In the summertime here in Denmark, it's really hard to actually like get it cool because we don't have AC or air condition. So it's hot, but in the winter, you can regulate it more like with the radiator and your window. Like make it like 19 degrees Celsius. That is, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but just make it so that it's slightly cooler, because if it's hot, your body will automatically wake up, but it's easier to sleep in like colder conditions, because even if you think it's too cold, you can just put on another blanket. Rather it be too cold than too hot, because then it will wake you up. So that's the first thing with sleep environment. But it's also what you actually do in your bedroom. So many people probably won't have this access to this, but a lot of the time, you watch, like, you have a TV in your room, you watch Netflix, but if you even like got into self-improvement, you might do all of your work in your room. And of course it's good that you're on this journey, but it's harder to sleep. As like, for example, in my bedroom here, I don't do any of the work. I have like another room where I do my office stuff. I have like a table and all of this. So in here I only sleep. So when I think of this room, I only think of like sleeping. That is literally the only thing I do in here. So my mind doesn't associate this with anything else. So like if you were to work in your room, if your brain associates it too much with work, you might not be able to, sleep as well here. Or if you continue to watch Netflix like in your room, it's probably going to be harder to sleep. But so you could actually do something else to not work in here. Of course you can like move somewhere else in your house if that is a possibility, but some free options are, you go to a library or something, or do the work. So you do it somewhere else, and this will also help you, instead of procrastinating. But you could also I think there are some like offices where you can just sit with like someone else and just do your work there. It will probably cost a bit of money, but you can just go to a library. It's literally free in most countries. Like in Denmark, it doesn't cost anything. And the next time when you've like fixed your sleep environment with the temperature and what you associate it to, the next thing I would recommend is get a nighttime routine. Because if you just do something completely random and then you try to go to sleep, it's not like it turns on like this. You have to get that routine in. Like for example, for me, I do like half an hour before I start to unwind. I dim the lights, I roll down the curtains, I start doing skincare and brushing my teeth. So my body knows, okay, now it's time to relax, and now we're soon going to sleep. And some people would like turn on some incense sticks to like get the smells and be focusing on their breath and relaxing. And some people do sleep meditation or listen to a sleep story. So there are many ways that you can create your nighttime routine, but it's really a good idea to have one of these, because it will help you with sleeping faster when you actually like lay into your bed. And then I talked before about so this is the next thing. So when you've made sure that you're unwinding before going to bed and that your sleep environment is good, one thing that you can actually do, which is quite funny because it's in the morning. So as I talked about earlier, that you want to get this cortisol spike in the morning, you can get that by sunlight. So a lot of people are beginning to speak about this, but so what I do is every morning when I wake up, I go to the toilet, and once I got done that, I get dressed and I sit outside, actually right outside this window. I just sit and I look up into the sky and like at the sun, and if there's no clouds, of course don't look right at the sun because that's damaging for your eyes. I just sit and look like for 5 minutes, and what this does is that, you know, you have this clock inside of your body, and every part of your body has their own clock, but it's not perfectly aligned to, you know, like the 24 hours. So the only thing that actually can tell like which part of the day is your eyes, because they can understand, you know, light and this. So when you get this really bright light in the morning into your eyes, it spikes your cortisol, so your body knows that it has, oh, now we have to be awake. So if there's no clouds, do this for like 5 minutes. If there's some clouds, do it for like 10 minutes. And if there's fully cloud cover, do it for 20 minutes. And if you don't have the time, just do it for 10 or 15. Like, just like be outside. So, and then also get some exercise in, because when you're like, you know, doing your exercise, for example, I skip every morning or jump rope. It also, you know, increases like your blood flow and all of this stuff, you know. You get like energized by it. And while I do my exercise outside, so I actually get like sunlight. So I'll just tell you my morning routine. I wake up, get some joggings on, and, you know, get some comfortable clothes. I go outside, look up into the sky for 5 minutes if there's no clouds. Then once I've done that, I meditate for whatever the time is today, and then I go and I jump rope. And while I'm doing that, I'm also getting the sunlight because I'm outside. So I both get the exercise in, which gives me energy, but I also get the sunlight into my eyes if I didn't sit there for long enough. So that is the routine I follow, and this will help you with, you know, getting like these hormones in at the right time. So some people, you know, or they'll lay in their bed for like half the day, and then when it's 1 p.m. they'll just get outside, and then like the body thinks, oh, now we have to be awake. But that's too late. Holy, if I've like been really distracted looking out the window, it's because there's so many birds right now just flying all over the place. But as I was saying, this is also a very beneficial thing in the modern day, because a lot of people, you know, they go to like these workplaces and they get up in the morning, they rush to work, and they are there for like 8 hours. They come home, make breakfast, watch Netflix, go to bed. Like, that is their life. And if you like work a 9 to 5, this is really beneficial, because the sun sends out like different types of light. So there's blue light, which you might know something about, and then there's also all of these other lights like red light and all this stuff. But if you don't get a lot of sunlight, if you just work inside on your office all day, then like the screen that you're looking at, it sends blue light right at you, and that is what, you know, keeps you awake. So when you get home in the evening and you've got like tons of blue light, but you haven't got any of the red light, which makes you want to sleep later on in the day, then that is why so many grown-ups have trouble with like sleeping, and they're sleep deprived. It's because they only get the blue light. But if you get outside in the morning, you get like all of the sun that has to offer, and your cortisol spikes, and you won't be like kept like awake for the whole day. And something that also people live on with these office jobs is caffeine. So caffeine is okay if you just like drink coffee. That is of course nothing wrong with drinking coffee, but try to not do it like 10 hours before bed. Like, for example, at least not after 2 p.m. Then you shouldn't do it. Like, but 1 p.m. or 11:30 is ideal. So just rule of thumb, don't drink caffeine after 2 p.m. because so what caffeine does, so this is again gonna be like more advanced and maybe boring to hear, but it's still like you really need to hear this. So when you drink caffeine, the caffeine, it goes into, I don't know if it's your blood, but you know, it goes into your body, and it occupies the cells which were before caffeine occupied by something called adenosine. And adenosine is I think it's called hormone, but it's something that builds up over the day to also make you feel tired. So in the morning you might not have as much, but then in the day it builds up, and then there's a lot of it at night, so you actually like feel sleepy and you want to go to bed. But what caffeine does is that it takes like the cell where the adenosine sits, it just goes in and it like pushes it away and occupies that place. So let's say you drink caffeine at 10 a.m. So now you have the adenosine level of 10 a.m. and can't remember how long caffeine sits, but let's just say it's 3 hours. So then at like 1 p.m. then it doesn't kick in, but caffeine doesn't kill the adenosine. It just makes it go away and the adenosine still produces. So at 10 p.m. you will feel no tiredness until 1 p.m. But then when it gets to 1 p.m. you will feel 3 hours plus of sleepiness. So that's why like people crash, because before they were feeling that 10 a.m. tiredness, but then when it stops working, they'll just, instead of gradually increasing the adenosine, they'll get 3 hours right in the face, and that is why people crash. In the afternoon they have to take a nap or something. So that is why it works like this, and that is also why you might not be like tired at night, is because it works. But when it doesn't, the adenosine comes right back, and then you like feel like you've just been hit by a hammer in the head, and you're just so tired. And of course, the effect will vary from person to person. For me, I've tried like drinking energy drinks and then just going to bed right after. It doesn't really have a huge effect on me. I know it has, but I don't feel that effect. Like some people, they just hyper when they get this. But so try to limit it. Don't drink too much of it. It is also like a drug, you can call it. So it stops your adenosine from kicking in until later. So it's like you just delay, and then you get like the hit later, and you get very tired. So as I talked about before, like blue light, which the sun sends, and that is also something that makes you worse at sleeping. Like you'll not be as tired. So something that I don't have them on right now because I'm not even looking at a screen, but you probably also heard of this. Glasses called blue light blockers, and what I do is 3 hours before I go to bed, I take them on, and they block out almost all of the blue light. I can't like remember like the way that they say how much it can, but pretty much all of it blocks out. So I will not get like the light that keeps me awake in the evening when I have to go to bed soon. And this is really beneficial for your sleep, because you won't. I don't know if you've tried this, but at night or at evening, if you sit and watch TV or you play video games, you won't get tired, because that blue light constantly says to you, even though it's dark outside, because you just look at the screen with like this light coming at you, you don't feel tired because you just get this light. So it just blocks out this light, and it's really like a beautiful idea. And I don't know who came up with this, but I use them every night. And also the contradictory to this, which you can use in the morning, that's mostly when people do it. And this is also something I've been looking to invest in. I'm really researching it before I buy it, but it's called red light therapy, and it improves your skin, but it also has a factor in your, like almost everything in your body, but it also has a factor in sleep. So as I told you before about the sun sends out like blue light and red light and some other lights. So like the blue light is something you don't want to get as much of in the evening, but the red light makes you able to sleep in the evening. So what the red light therapy does is that you get this red light, and that is really helpful for like people that don't have the time to get outside, like if they work in an office or something. They just get like, it's of course that has the same effect, but they just get the artificial red light, and this improves their sleep so much, because before they didn't get this light that they needed, but now they get it, and they use the blue light blockers in the evening. So now they're actually able to sleep a lot better, which is of course helping them with, even though it seems weird that you can do stuff in the morning, it just helps in the end, man. I quickly want to make a list of things that you can buy, so I just have it right here. So the first one is blackout curtains. you've probably seen in some of my other videos, I have this black curtain with stars on it, and I also have these white ones which don't really work as great, but they just, like, the problem with my blackout curtain is that, you know, in the edges it doesn't stay completely like to the wall, so the light comes in like a square. So I'm actually looking into getting some new curtains that I can pull over that, so like there's completely black in my room, because the smallest amount of light will just wake you up. So get blackout curtains if you don't already have them, because you're meant to sleep in the dark, and when your eyes catch, even though they're closed, when they catch like light, they will automatically wake up. So have it pitch black in your room, that is the ideal thing. So the next thing is blue light blockers, as I told you. I won't really go into depth with that because I already told you what it is. And the next one is kind of actually funny. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's something called a wake up light. So I have one. I don't really want. I have it over there. I'm not gonna show it. You can just find one on Amazon or something. And what it does is that, you know, you have your phone alarm which says like, it's such an annoying sound. So what I did is I got this wake up light, and 30 minutes before I have to wake up, it makes like, it simulates a sunrise in my room. So as I said before, light wakes you up. So your mind thinks that, you know, as back when we were cavemen and stuff, you know, the sun came up, we're like, oh, we have to wake up. And the same thing my alarm clock does. And most of the time I don't even wake up. Like, it has this alarm if you don't get up by the what's it called, the light. It has like birds singing, but mostly I don't even hear like the birds singing. I just wake up by the light, and you just feel so much like more, what can you say, refreshed and like nice when you don't get waken up by this sudden noise at you. And I think it's also something that it's actually better to wake up to light. And I've been really like enjoying this. Just look into it if you want to buy one, and it's probably gonna help you. And one thing that mine also can do, which helped me in the evening, is it can, what do you call it? You know, when the sun goes down. Wow! I just forgot the word. The opposite of sunrise. It's sunset. Yeah, that's what it is. It can simulate a sunset. So when I go to bed, you can set it for longer, but I have 10 minutes where it's just, you know, the sun going down, so in my brain, it just, while I sit there and unwind, my brain thinks, oh yeah, the sun going down, I have to sleep. So that is one thing that I don't think that many people talk about, but it's actually quite nice to do it. So next thing is interesting. I have one, a heavy blanket. Mine is 7 kilos, and you might not think that 7 kilos is a lot, but for a blanket it really is. I sleep with it, and it's supposed to, you know, make you sleep better and make you more calm, and even like sometimes give you better deep sleep. And I think that it's, even though you have to get used to it for like the first 2 weeks or something, it feels like someone is hugging you. You just feel like more safe with it on. And I would personally recommend it. I bought one, and I've been actually very glad for it. And I thought about it because now it's like very hot, but mine, it has some like technology, or what do you call it, or not technology, but they made it so that it regulates for the weather. It's like made of bamboo or something. So it's really good, and it's not even like, I'm not even sweating at night, so that is very nice. And you could look into buying one of that. Red light therapy, as I of course said, it costs a lot. It is an investment, and that is why I haven't bought it yet, but I'm probably going to at one point, and I will happily show you how I would do it when I get it. And the last one is actually free, and I don't have any like, I'm not that like, you know, have many viewers right now, but I'm not linked to them or affiliated to them, but there's an app called Medito where you can meditate, and there's also sleep meditation that is intended for you to make like certain like breaths and state of mind, so you have an ease with unwinding and sleeping easier at night. So that is something that you can do actually for free, which you don't have to do like put money into as some of the other things. So now I've gone through like all of the stuff, like what is sleep, how can you do. So to make it like easier, I'm just going to make like the full plan. How are you actually going to improve your sleep? So first of all, get like a lot of these items that I just listed. I said experiment with your bedtime and wake up time. So try to go earlier or later to bed. Try to wake up earlier, later. Or if you can't wake up earlier or later, then you will just experiment with the other half and just see how it goes. Eat and train to get healthy, which will improve your sleep and just improve you overall. That's just always a good thing. Try making routine at night and morning. So for example, as I said, my nighttime routine, I unwind, and that is really good. So my brain knows that every night when this happens, it has to start relaxing and getting ready for sleep. And in the morning, I know exactly what I have to do each morning, so I get my cortisol and my workout in. And that is like really how you actually, like, that is some of the free stuff that you can do, which are pretty good. And regulate your caffeine intake. Don't get too much. Understand, as I said, when you do it, how it works. And blue light, don't get too much of it in the evening. And so yeah, that is pretty much the plan. So get some of the items that are listed, make a routine, get a bedtime that you like, and get healthy, and make sure that you don't get too much caffeine. Try looking into the blue light and all of this. And yeah, so now you are fully equipped with what you need to get better sleep. And I think that this video is very like deeper, and it's not just like on the top, like I made the video before how I remember what I read. It's very like straightforward and just like this is what I do. But this is actually it has really taken me some time to do this, and I think it's really valuable for you to watch this video, and you can learn how you get better sleep, and it's also very practical with this action plan. So if you watch this video and you don't follow the action plan, because many of the steps are like free, you don't even have to put any money into it, I think that you should remind yourself why you're watching these kind of videos. Of course, it's okay not to take action immediately. Sometimes you're like in this self-improvement depression stage where you're just watching all the videos and feeling bad that you're not doing anything. But just take action at some point. It might not be right now, it might not be tomorrow, but then do it. At some point, just do it. And I would even say that this is only for like people that are, I don't know, I just feel like when I say that stuff it sounds weak, but if I should actually say something, just do it now. Just start, if I don't know when you're watching this video, just start tomorrow. Tomorrow you're gonna try to implement as much of it, I'm fumbling with the words, as much of this as you can. Try to implement it tomorrow. Like, many of these things are free. So sleep meditation, working out is free, getting the morning light in your eyes is free, and regulating your caffeine intake is also free. Like, it's really not like that hard to just get the basics. Like, you don't need to do all of this. Just implement as much of it as you can. And as I said, if you liked this video and thought it was helpful, please subscribe, like, and even leave a comment, because it really took some time to, get all this information, use it in my own life, and then put it down into a more concise video where you get all of this stuff. So I hope that you like this, and yeah. Take action.